Okay, so we've taken off the inspection door at the bottom. Here is the EW W101, the Bluetooth transmitter. This is your four-way junction box here, and all you need to do is just identify the wire which goes down the down tube. Now there's only one which goes down in that direction. The other three are all going around the BB to the battery or to the two derailleurs, so it should be quite easy to spot. Now in my case it's this one here, so just using the tool we'll disconnect it like that, and then we'll apply some thread and pull it through. Right, so we've got a bit of thread around this cable here like that, and we're now going to put it through so that we can replace it with the longer cable. So it's just a question of coming down here and pulling through like that. Right, so we've pulled the down tube cable through. Here's the thread for that, and I've also pulled through the short cable here that goes inside the handlebar. So now I've tied the thread, this same thread, onto the end of the long cable. So now we're ready to start inserting that into the handlebar. It will come through here, back into the frame, it loops around the head tube, and then along here back to the four-way junction box. Right, so what we're trying to do now is pass the cable from the new control unit up the reverse way through the bar to pop out here. Now this is probably the trickiest part of the operation, and I found one of the best probes to use is this kind of light flexible plastic tubing like this. A brake cable was a little bit too stiff, I found. A gear cable, not quite stiff enough, and you need to get around this gap here, this bend here, and it feels like there is some kind of restriction in here, so it's not that easy. So you've got to find the hole and get through. The endoscope that I used is not that conclusive. It's not flexible enough to get much beyond here really. So not particularly useful. Anyway, I've managed to get this through, and you can see it down here. You can just make out where it is, and now what I'm going to try and do now is hook it out and put it through. Okay, so I managed to fish this out. This is the other end, and you can see that we can just pull through some thread now, and that will enable us to install the cable, which is going to go from here to here. Okay, I managed to get the cable through. Here it is, coming from the bottom of the handlebar. In the end, what I did was I actually taped it to this one that I had already pulled through, and then pulled the cable through like that. Now the difficult part was actually, once you get to this point here, you go past, you have to push it past so the connector goes up here, and then using a little hook or needle nose pliers, grab the cable and pull the cable out so that the connector will follow, because the connector is quite long and it won't pass through here that easily, so you have to just pull it through backwards. So yeah, it took a little while. You need patience, but eventually there it is. And what I've done now is I'm doing the interconnecting cable, which goes from the left shifter to the right, and I've passed through this piece of gear cable inner here. You can see it moving on the left there. So now I'll be able to pass the cable across the handlebar from shifter to shifter, and that makes the interconnect. Right, so that's pretty much it. So just to summarise then, this is a 500mm wire that goes from the 910 up through here, back out and into the shifter. You could get away with a 400, but it could be a little bit tight. Then we have a 700 that crosses from this shifter right through the middle and over to this shifter. A 600 or a 650 could do it, but again, it's best not to spend all the time putting it through and find it's too short, so there's a little bit of extra margin there. And then we've got a 1.2 meter cable coming from this shifter, which goes along here and out, down into the frame and off to the bottom bracket. And that 1.2 meter was a little bit tight, but it did just about do it with a little bit of slack. If you've got a larger frame, you probably want to go for the next size up, which is 1.4 meter. Okay, so the last part here is just to secure the control box. There's some little sticky pads, double-sided. Take those off. You've got two parts here. You just apply it like that. And then this part comes in, it snaps on like that. That piece actually needs a sticky tape beneath it as well, which I will do now. Okay, so there we have it, all done. And just to prove that it does actually work, just a little battery test. There we go. Yeah, so all good, and so nice to have a clean stem again. Look at that, nothing hanging underneath it. And I need to tidy this up around here, but basically you'll just have the one wire going into the frame, and that'll be all neat and tidy. So quite happy. Now the sun's come out at last, and time to go for a quick spin.